ready, man?
Oh, we're starting?
Oh, yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah, I thought we had 10 minutes.
No, dude, we are starting like in T-5. Let's rock.
Whoa, oh, he's falling off his chair.
Hello, and welcome to Talk Heathen. Today is March 1st, 2020, Season 4, Episode 9. I'm Eric Murphy, and with me today...
Not Eric Murphy.
Phil Ferguson.
Ferguson. Thank you.
Dude, I'm glad you made it. I was so excited, my chair went down.
Yeah, I thought you were going down there for a minute. That's after party.
Right? You know what? Just get a couple, yeah.
How's that gin holding up?
Oh, it is...
That'll turn your liver into a pumice stone, I'm just saying.
You know what, man? I'm okay with it.
It's good. If only we had packed phone lines with Christians calling in.
Yeah, we would. We get
call them
that.
T. That's
Yep.
T.
T for theist.
Theist.
Yeah. But before we dive into that, I want people to know, who the hell are you?
I'm Phil. We did that. I have my own podcast. It's called The Phil Ferguson Show. Mm-hmm. I did blog for 5 years. Did you know that?
I followed you back in the day.
Wow.
I listened to your first episodes.
Yep. Well, no. The blog, I would write. Well, I would type. I wouldn't call it writing because it sucked. I did a blog for 5 years called Skeptic Money. I think it's all gone now.
Yeah.
Unless you go in the Wayback Machine. I did a blog 5 years, 2 to 3 stories a day.
Damn.
I rose to the level of insignificance. And it was decided by anyone that would tell me that I'm a better speaker than a writer, and I can barely even speak sometimes. But the current thing is the Phil Ferguson Show.
That's right.
I'm a naming savant.
Dude, so here's the funny thing is, and I know I've told you this off air, but I can't help but tell the story on air.
Talk to me.
When I discovered your show, it went into my regular rotation as a podcast, and it actually opened doors for me. So for those of you who haven't followed Phil, Phil is an amazing financial advisor. The insight that you have into investments and the insight that you have into the industry itself has been something that has been really, really, really beneficial to me personally, and being able to speak with any kind of knowledge on any of those subjects is you, dude.
Now, I'll have to say that this is not actually an endorsement.
No.
Because that would be illegal.
Yeah, it would be.
I can't get endorsements.
Well,
isn't that weird?
Yeah.
You could say my show is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. The show covers 1/3 finance investment, 1/3 religion, atheism, 1/3 politics, all the things you should not discuss with your family. And I am number 1 in that category.
Dig it, dude.
Yeah.
So it is not an advertisement, because I'm just fangirling a little bit.
There you go.
And I can say that I like your show, and if you haven't checked out Phil Ferguson, you should.
And of course, I'll give those things. If anyone asks money questions today, which I'm going to allow, I don't know, is it cool if someone calls and asks about investing?
I mean, as long as it's interesting.
Okay. Well, if you're not interested, we're just going to hang up on you.
Yeah.
But nothing I say should be considered personalized investment advice. Do not trust the advice of a dumbass on YouTube. So, just saying.
Agreed. And we had something pop up on the screen back here. Let's just fix that. All right.
Yeah.
So other than that, I do have a couple regular announcements. At 3 p.m. Central Time, we're going to have a new episode of Atheist Vanguard. And as always, 2/3 of the way through the episode, I thank our top 5 patrons. If you like what we do and you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Phil, can you verify I have Patreon up?
I can, and I know that's Patreon because I've got one of my own at patreon.com/Phil, but now it's all about you.
Well, now it's all about Talk Heathen.
Yeah.
I have my own side project as well.
There you go.
This is Talk Heathen. I hit the refresh button. I thank our top 5 patrons every single episode.
That's a nice touch, man.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
if they wanted to have their name read today, they can hop in live because I hit that refresh right beforehand.
What's the bottom of the top 5 right now?
$25.
So that's per show? Mm-hmm. That's real money, dude.
Yeah, I know.
So join in and put in like 30, and you'll be in the top 5.
Absolutely.
It's like an auction.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
All righty. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to say. Any other big news? Anything's coming up for you?
I'm going to be at the American Atheist Conference in, what is that city called? Phoenix in Arizona.
It's smack dab in the middle of the desert, that area.
Yeah, and I'll be doing that. And if the virus goes away, I have a trip planned in April and into early May into Italy.
Very cool.
I specifically plan to be in Rome on May 4th because in Rome, they go nuts for Star Trek. Italians love Star Trek. And on May 4th, it's May the 4th be with you.
That's Star Wars.
Okay, yeah. That's my era. Star Wars. They're huge into Star Wars.
I thought we were friends.
Yeah. I never make that mistake again.
No.
Not on this show.
They're going to murder you.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. May the 4th be with you.
Absolutely.
Good thing this is not live. And at the Coliseum, there's people dressed up as Wookiees and have lightsabers, and there's stormtroopers, and there's actually ships like the X-Wing and TIE fighters and stuff. That shit.
Our audio engineer is obviously a fan as well.
I told him in advance.
Oh, yeah?
No, they're actually that good.
Dude.
That's amazing.
I used to actually run a game in the Star Wars universe in D&D.
Okay.
Big geek.
I'm not quite sure what that means, but it sounds awesome.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. You know what? I usually have content going out all week long, but I had a really bad sick spell, and I kind of took a bit of a nosedive for 3 weeks. So in the coming week, I'll be getting back out there and all of that. But in the meantime, I think we have teased these people enough. I think it's time to hop
I'm not
into
sure
a call.
about that, but...
Well,
let's talk to him.
Yeah, let's talk to Khalil, who is our first caller, been waiting on the line the longest. Is it Khalil? Is that how we pronounce it?
Yes, it's Khalil Parkinson, yeah.
Hey, Khalil. Nice to meet you. Thank you for calling in. What do you want to talk about?
Scientific evidence that supports the Bible.
All right. Well, that would be nice.
And different.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I've always noticed that I've been debating like atheists over maybe like 10 years now on Facebook groups. And it's like there's always seemed to be the same type of argument stemming from them. And I also noticed a lot of problems. I think like a lot of atheists are like they have a psychological problem against religion.
Well, I think that's I think that's an easy way to write them off. But you're talking to two atheists right now. And we may have different opinions. What would you like to talk to us about?
Well, like, okay, genetic predisposition. The Bible claims that all men are sinners or have some kind of enmity against God because of what one man did, Adam. Okay, Adam ate the fruit, and this caused the children or his offspring to duplicate the same genes that he basically, started. For instance, like let's use this example: addiction. You notice everybody knows that people can get addicted to things, to anything basically. But the more famous addictions are drug addictions.
Khalil,
right? Yes.
How much do you know about genetics?
I know briefly from just from actually life experience, meeting people who claim that their parents were drug addicts or alcoholics, and they end up being alcoholics and stuff. Okay,
sure.
We know that.
I understand that people can be more and less susceptible to addiction. You're specifically talking about genetics, and so you can have a genetic predisposition to things like diabetes. You can have a genetic disposition towards, something like cancer, and other health risks, things like that. But you're specifically talking about sin. And so before we go anywhere, we need to have a clear idea of what those definitions are, or else we're going to talk past each other. What is sin, Khalil?
Well, according to the Bible, sin is falling short of God's his laws, I guess. Okay. So the ability to
yeah. I have a question. Yes. Does everyone fall short, or are there some people that make the bar?
Everyone, according to the claim of the Bible, everyone.
Okay, so using your answer that everyone falls short, then there's no concern about genetics or descendancy because everyone falls short anyway. So you just refuted your own statement.
Because everyone falls short because they're from Adam. We all.
But that's fine. But there's the fact that you brought up parents and children doesn't matter. the whole genetics doesn't matter because everyone falls short. So there's no distinction between this person and that person. They all fall short based on what you said.
We all fall short, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know why genetics even comes into it.
The Bible that's genetics also, because we fall short because I'm stating like it's a contamination. We are contaminated by a sinful gene because of Adam.
Okay, Khalil.
Contamination causes us to be sinners. Yeah.
Hey, where in DNA is sin? Where's the contamination? Can you point it out to me, please? Have you looked at DNA sequencing? Could you find where the sin is in there?
Well, I don't think we have the ability to recognize what it is, but we can see it.
No, you're looking for it because you're motivated to, Khalil. Let me tell you something, man. If you were to actually look into genetics, hold on, Khalil. If you were to actually look into genetics, you would find that there was never a time where there was one human, one man and one woman, because that would be such a small amount of genetic diversity that we would have died off. There's never been a time where there was just one. And also, there's never been a time when you can point and say that's a definitive human, because you can see this slow progression as speciation occurred in our history. You can see it in fossils. So if you're pointing towards history, hold on, if you're pointing towards science, then you're throwing out a whole lot so you can point out something that a dirty gene. So if you're going to make the claim, then show it to me. Where's the gene? How come you haven't taken this to a university?
Well, how come I may in the future.
Good, you should.
Maybe, yeah.
Perfect. Do you know where it is?
An atheist will admit that he doesn't even know where life comes from.
Does that have anything to do with your claim, Khalil? Before you start moving the goalposts, please, at least be responsible for your own claim before you start changing things. If you want to move the goalposts and talk about abiogenesis, that's fine. But don't pretend like you're not.
Okay.
So, let's finish with the gene thing. You made a claim that is a scientific claim. You said there is somewhere in our genetics, somewhere in our DNA, that you can find sin. I do not believe you. And I don't think I should believe you until you can show it.
Of course you don't believe it because you reject, but you reject out of ignorance because of course, no atheists have any answers to any question.
I think there's a gene that makes me God.
Do you have any alternative answers?
There's a gene that makes me God, and I don't have to prove it to you because I believe it.
And also, he can't refute it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can say anything.
Okay.
Khalil, as long as we're just pulling stuff out, then Phil's allowed to do that. Why don't you actually back up your assertion? Try again, please.
Okay. Back up my... All right.
Here's an assertion. My name is Eric.
Yeah.
I can back that up. I can show you my driver's license. I can make other assertions. This glass is filled with water and not gin. We can investigate it.
My backup, like the history of life or mankind. Like, do you remember recent history? The Stalins, the Hitlers.
So, are you saying are you saying that biologists and geneticists look at the history of Stalin and Hitler to understand DNA?
They didn't change DNA, did they?
I'm claiming sin, and I'm saying the result of sin is history. The violence.
Yeah, but you're changing the topic.
Those are the examples.
You were talking about...
Those are examples of...
No, you were talking about DNA.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems like you don't really know what DNA is.
Would you like to change?
I said genetic preposition.
Got it.
Predisposition.
Yes. Do you know what a gene is?
Okay. Well, you can see genetic predisposition.
No.
As you explained, right, a diabetic person can transfer that gene to his sibling.
Can?
Yeah. And an alcoholic.
Well, not to their siblings, to their children. I couldn't give my brother diabetes.
An alcoholic can transfer the same predisposition to a...
But it doesn't even matter because you said everyone is a sinner. So why do you even care about the DNA if everyone is just by default a sinner?
See, here's my concern.
Everyone is a sinner because of the genes. Because we all inherit the gene of Adam and Eve.
See, it's much stronger when you stick to what you know.
It's a simple claim.
But if you know it, then you can talk about it. If you don't know it, say I don't know.
It's a
But when you
claim
start
with
shooting off
evidence.
half-cocked and not able to actually back up a single thing to a lay degree.
Why? Because I can't back it up scientifically? How can science find that out? Science is limited. What is science? Well, how can science know everything?
Well, where in the Bible does it say DNA?
Well, yeah, you said there's scientific proof. So are you taking science off the table entirely, Khalil?
You started with science.
Well, yeah. I'm not taking it off the table.
Okay, so then what the hell did that statement you just made have to say?
Science is worthless. Why did you bring it up?
Yeah.
Oh, I said it's limited. I said it's limited. You're like changing my words. I said science is limited.
Okay, so it's limited.
Science will not find out.
How is it limited?
Science doesn't even know that how the universe got here. They don't even know what was before the Big Bang.
So by not knowing something, they know nothing?
Yeah, I apparently we keep moving away from DNA. Khalil, so contact the university, check out some biology, open up a textbook, look into it, and if you can't find sin in the genetic structure, what I suggest you do is remove that from your arguments, because you could have had some really good arguments. But
aren't you? Are we
kept-
just debating religion? Sin is a biblical argument.
That's not you. No,
you made a science
no.
argument.
Yeah, you came in and said that it's in our genes. We asked you where. You said science is limited. What that is telling me is you have.
I don't believe science has answers. I don't believe you can. Yeah.
What that means is you made a statement. You got called out on it. And instead of backing it up, you said, well, science doesn't know everything. That is not evidence for your claim. You need to back up a claim if you make the claim. So next time when you call in, make a biblical argument. Talk about the Bible, but don't say you can co-opt science and then not do it. Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm good.
Would you like to?
Yeah, okay.
Feels good, doesn't it?
That was easy.
Yeah.
It felt that's a sexy button,
isn't it? It's the power.
It's plasticky, but it's not. It's got a really good tactical thing.
It's just
tactile.
There's some. Yeah. Definitely.
It's like a good keyboard, you know. It bounces back just a little bit.
Nice and clicky.
Clickety clickety, but not too loud. You don't want clickety clackety. You just want clickety clickety.
Yeah. All right.
That was rough. That was rough.
You know,
you contradict yourself.
I usually have much more patience, but he kept using words and not being able to actually stay in that realm. He kept, well, here's science. Okay, let's talk science. Well, science doesn't know everything. Well, then why did you bring up science?
It's a thing that I see all the time where people make an unsubstantiated claim without knowing that it's completely and totally unsubstantiated. And I've recently found, and I experienced this on Facebook, on other topics, it's not just religion. Humans have this problem, and I'm probably included in that mix. One of the most dangerous things you can ask somebody is, how do you know that? Because then they're offended. You're questioning them. Yes, yeah. I am questioning you. That what you said sounds odd to me, sounds strange to me. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want more information.
Yeah, or I'm interested, right? I had somebody just before this episode, just before we sat down, wanting to talk to me about politics and what's going on in the elections. And there's just so much. And I'm like, okay, I want to know more. Give me more. You know,
the fact that I'm asking you for more information is a sign that I'm paying attention to you. I'm not ignoring you. And people will see it that way, that I'm ignoring you or attacking you. I'm asking for more information because I want to have a conversation. And I don't want to just sit there and have you make unsubstantiated claims. And that's not a conversation.
You know, I think there's one other thing that I really want to tack on here because I think that it's a good epistemic tool for people to have. And that is when you're talking to somebody, when you're bringing up arguments, if you hear this style, and the style is, here's my claim, you need to provide a counter argument.
Right.
I know how the universe came about. It came about by God. If you disagree with me, then you have to know the answer. That's not true.
Yeah.
And I know I've brought up the gumball analogy.
Yeah.
Lots of times. We've got our gumballs right up here.
I'm aware. 666 of them.
Did you count them?
Yes. Were you there?
Were you there? Here's how I know you're full of shit.
I replaced it. I know, it's
glued shut.
PVC glue, I can smell it. I replaced it. This is a totally new one. The old one had 666, and I put 666 in this one.
God God damn it, Phil. If you don't know, say I don't know, but don't assume that just because you have a claim that you are better for it. Have a good reason for your claim.
It's funny because on that crazy, wacky argument line that I just made, I'll have people talk about evolution and abiogenesis, and they'll say something like, "Were you there?"
Yeah.
Right? And what I do is I say, "Yes, I was." And they're like, "What, you couldn't be there?" And I go, "And now you're a skeptic," right? I was there, and I know you weren't there.
Because I was there.
Because
and
I
didn't
was
see you.
there. And so, yes, I was there, I saw it, and it just wraps their head around, and they want to start to try to get you to prove evidence that you were there. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Now you want evidence."
Well, you know, I did it, and I very, very quickly found that now I was being the dishonest interlocutor. And while it helps to shine the light on their own issue, now as long as you can wrap them in and go, "You're right. That's the wrong thing to do. You probably should not do that. Let's not do that together."
It was funny. I used to live in Champaign, Illinois, and when people would ask me, religious people would ask me questions like, "Can you explain genetics? Can you explain abiogenesis? Can you explain evolution to me?" And I would say, "Gosh, where can we find someone who really knows this content? There's this giant university with 50,000 students. Maybe there's someone there that knows." So if your desire is to really understand genetics, talk to a geneticist. You're calling an atheist show to say, "Oh yeah? Well, prove me wrong." It doesn't mean you know anything. If we know nothing, it could be that we know nothing and you know nothing.
Yeah. And that's a damn scary thing.
It is.
But it is what it is. I am so intrigued by Danielle in Louisiana that I have to take them. Danielle, you're live with Eric and Phil. How are you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. How are y'all doing?
And now we are blessed and highly favored for you calling.
I'm caffeinated.
Actually, I just want to give you a little backstory. I work in construction, and my friend BJ is an atheist. So I need to do a shout-out and say hi to BJ.
Hi, BJ.
I don't think we allow that, do we?
Congrats to him and his girl, Savannah, for having a baby boy this week.
Congratulations.
A little miracle.
And he asked me to call. He told me, he said, I should call in and talk to you because you like talking to flat earthers and Christians, and I'm both. So.
Oh, Danielle.
At least I will give her credit. The Bible does insinuate that the earth is flat.
Let's see what Danielle thinks.
40 plus verses.
And held up by pillars.
So Danielle, can I ask you a couple starting questions here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that your Christian belief backs up your flat earth belief?
Yes.
Okay. Both. How do we know that you're not a Poe?
A what?
A Poe.
A Poe?
Yes.
How do we know you're not pretending to believe these things?
Yeah, because what I would hate to do is waste our time and everyone's watching's time by having somebody who's pretending this kind of thing.
You can check my Facebook out if you'd like. Well, actually, it doesn't really say Flat Earth on there. That's one of my nicknames at work. I embrace it fully.
Okay.
I don't have a reason to lie to you about it. I'm not going to waste your time about it because I truly believe this stuff and don't mind talking about it.
I think in the spirit of charitable listening, we're going to listen to you, and we're going to accept that that's actually what you think. So Danielle, when it gets to this level of, okay.
And I can laugh about it, and I'll let you know that I don't take offense. Sure. So
good.
You want,
so our view here is people deserve respect. Ideas do not necessarily deserve respect. We can laugh at ideas all we want. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. So when I'm looking at flat Earth and I'm looking at this biblical view, there has to be a lot of conspiracy in your worldview, at least the way I understand it, for that to exist. Is that the case? Do you think that there are concerted efforts to hide the truth from the general public? Walk me through that just a little bit.
Yes and no. I'm probably one of the rarest flat earthers you'll ever meet because I am you'll meet a lot of us that do have a biblical perspective, but I believe God is in control and that he has a timeline. So I don't believe all the conspiracies are truly, like, that Satan has the complete power. Like, because there are some conspiracies that are out there that I'm like, yeah, God's got it. Like, I just walk back, like, but I do believe 9/11's an inside job. I believe.
I was going to say, if you say 9/11's a conspiracy, I would agree. 19 Saudis conspired.
Here's to the high truth. I believe vaccines cause autism, and
that's dangerous.
I'm an anti-vaxxer.
Oh, gosh, Danielle, you are just like my entire bingo card filled out.
Did we go to the moon, Danielle?
No, we did not. We didn't go to the moon. Space is fake. You can't go outside the dome.
I'm so happy right now. Okay.
I'm sorry. We were having a little moment.
I can make you happy.
No. We were having a moment. You said something about the moon. Did you say we can't go into space?
No, we can't go into outer space.
Because you bump the top.
Okay. Where does outer space start?
I believe we live in an enclosed system. A dome is over us, and that the moon and sun is inside the firmament. Because I'm a Bible believer, and in Genesis
fine.
chapter 1.
How far from the ocean, from ocean level, sea level we call it, how far up is the firmament?
I don't have that answer. I'm sorry. I'll tell you straight up, I don't have all the answers to give you, and I wish I did.
I appreciate you saying I don't know.
I'm still researching.
Well, I hope that you research a ton.
I've been researching for 2 years.
Let's start with the most dangerous, because I think that should probably be addressed, and then move on to less dangerous and less dangerous, right? So let's start with anti-vaxx.
I would have started with Christianity.
You know what? So here's the thing. I've worked in special ed for years.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I've met parents who have autistic children who are wonderful, amazing, incredible kids that I absolutely adore, and wonderful parents. And I sat down and I've talked to a parent who personally felt like they were responsible for
that's a horrible feeling.
Giving their child autism. What it did is it created this personal ownership of a disability, and at the level that I was taking care of kids, it was. Yeah. Not always, but at this level of the spectrum, it was. And I think it's incredibly, incredibly sad and also very dangerous, because there are a lot of kids who can't be vaccinated. And so my question for you is, what taught you that? How did you come to believe that, number one, vaccines cause autism?
Well, like you, I have a lot of friends. I've worked in children's ministry. I've worked with special needs kids myself. Mm-hmm. I actually have a variety of jobs I've done in my past, is what I was going to say. But I have a lot of friends who also have kids who are autistic, mm-hmm. and I can name two off the top of my head right now that I'm thinking of, and they will tell you that their child didn't become autistic until after receiving the vaccine. Neither one of those parents take the blame. Our government, I believe, lies to us.
We will get there. We will get there. Hold on.
Okay.
So you do recognize that when it comes to being tested, there are several places along human development that testing for something like that is not viable until a certain age, right? That how did you determine that being tested for and diagnosed with autism was not coincidental? How did you draw a causal link?
How would I draw? Well, this, again, it's not my experience. This is the parents who have told me personal. This is their testimony to me. 100%.
I understand it, and I actually, Danielle, I believe that they probably believe it. Do you know what the miracle mineral solution is?
What?
It's a small amount of bleach that there are groups that will sell you a small amount of a very powerful bleach for you to drink or put in your butt. I wish I was joking. I am not. There are people who actually put industrial bleach in their children's butts. I think it's child abuse. And I also think that they truly believe that what they're doing is healthy and helpful for their children. Just because somebody thinks and cares very much about it, just because somebody has very strong feelings, does not mean that it's true. So whether or not they believe, I don't care. I'm asking you how you saw a causal link that convinced you, because, I mean, I'm sure you recognize that there are mountains of evidence to the contrary.
Well, everything I've been researching, like when I get to, like the ingredients of what is inside of it, and then when I look at statistics and I see stuff like I'm reading stuff like 1983, 2008, and 2013 that shows they were giving kids 10 vaccines given to U.S. babies, and autism rate jumped from 1 to 10,000. Then in 2008, it went from 36 vaccines given to the babies.
Now,
the autism rate went from 1 to 150.
Now, did you track, Danielle, did you track
Did I?
fact? Hold on.
No.
No. I'm asking you if you understand that the way that we diagnose autism changed at those times as well.
No, that I did not.
I've got to
say that I did not.
You should actually check, because undiagnosed autism that has been diagnosed at that time, that's like saying that when divorce was really made an option, you know, earlier in U.S. history, it was about 60 years ago, something like that, you know, that there were incredibly high rates of divorce. And it wound up evening out. It wasn't because divorce made people want to get divorced. It meant that a lot of people who were in unhappy marriages were able to now get divorced. You see the same thing with abortion, right? You have a whole lot of people who now were empowered to do something that they hadn't been able to do before. When you have and open up a new ability, when you open up a new door and you're able to explore and go, hey, you know what? Here's another option. Those numbers are going to go up, but that doesn't mean that that is a causal link. It could be a correlation.
And I have an example or a thought process, a little game we can play, if that's all right with you, Danielle.
Yeah, I'll play.
I have learned that a town, a city, the more churches a city has, the more bars that it has. What about churches causes people to go drink more? Do you know the answer?
It depends on the doctrine that's being preached. If you're going, I believe churches, this is a whole other topic, but like religion produces sin. Okay. A relationship does not. So you can go to church all you want.
Sure. Now,
if you don't have a relationship, you're going to produce sin.
I love that you had an answer, and that's great. What I wanted to get to was that I created a situation where I made it seem like there's a connection that more churches cause more bars, which is a causal relationship. Now, it could be that there's a correlation where some other third factor, as an example, a bigger city has more churches and a bigger city has more bars. So churches don't cause bars and bars don't cause people to go to church. A larger population creates a situation where there's more churches and more bars. So the count of churches and the count of bars are correlated, but one does not cause the other. So even if children getting vaccinations near that same time then get autism, there could be a third thing unrelated to the two things that you're talking about.
Okay. Can I just interrupt just 1 second? Sorry.
Sure.
But what about the warning that tells you that people literally is a side effect autism, and people are winning cases against vaccines?
No.
Big pharma.
Hold on.
I'm not aware of any warning produced by an official body or a medical body that says vaccines cause autism. I am aware of over 200 studies that have shown that there is no correlation. And even if there was a correlation, and I'm going out on the edge here, even if there was a correlation, I would rather have a child with autism than a child die from a preventable disease.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, hold on a second. That should have been filled with some applause. Come on, studio audience. What the fuck is that? Okay, sorry. So, Danielle, the reason why I wanted to bring that one up in particular is because it has a special place in my heart, and I think it is particularly heinous and evil. It's definitely something that I think you need to have a whole lot more than, well, I think I saw a correlation. I talked to some friends.
Well,
Talk to doctors. Go to a university.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off again, but
no, go ahead.
I just gave you one answer. I have actually looked up the ingredients and broke them down. I don't have it off the top of my head.
And it's true.
I take a lot of information in, and I probably should have prepared that argument.
No, that's okay.
I didn't realize we were going to be talking about vaccines.
Sure. It's a high-pressure situation, so, we don't expect... I always assume...
I have done a lot more research than just...
Sure. I always assume that people start with their best evidence, and maybe you made a mistake and didn't start with your best evidence. I understand that.
And I also specifically said we should start here.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in the intro from the screener, so we're going into something that you consider very seriously and you weren't prepared for, and that's okay, so we'll take our time.
Right.
But it's one of those things that if you found this topic interesting... can you go and talk to some medical professionals? Can you find a way to get actual research journal articles? And I'm not talking about going on the internet and just looking for a site that says vaccines cause autism, because one can do that. One can go and find websites that say the earth is hollow. One can go to websites that say the earth is filled with water. One can find all kinds of things. And one of the problems I have with the internet is that you can find anything on the internet, which is good. The bad thing is you can find anything on the internet. And
correct.
Based on some of the things that you're talking about, you are finding some of those things. And maybe you're getting information from the wrong sources.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've talked to doctors. I was in the medical field in the Navy for 6 years. I was in the hospital corpsman. So, I was around doctors all the time and listened to them talk. And
do you think that
just from what I've read from, like I said, my own reading that I've done,
Danielle?
I don't have kids, so I'm not like...
Sure.
And then...
You're not putting kids in danger.
It's just my belief on it. But like I said, I'm not like... This isn't my topic of passion, I guess.
Sure.
What I say to pursue and like talk about with people.
I think you actually hit on something that I think is really, really important here. And I see it in the chat as well. And Phil, you said it perfectly. It's an epistemic issue. There is a tool that you're bringing out. There are several tools that you're probably bringing out when you're evaluating things about the world. And we want to know if those tools that you're using are reliable. And so when we bring things up and it's to add question or to give a different perspective, what we're trying to do is get you to go, hey, you know what? How can I tell this thing that I think is true from this thing that I think is bogus? Phil's examples of the earth filled with water is one of them, or the earth being hollow is another, right? How do you determine those differences? And there's another that I really want to add in, and that is that you said you worked side by side with doctors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've gotten to know people in the medical field.
Absolutely. I've worked in the medical field my life, pretty much.
What kind of people work there?
Compassionate people.
Yeah? Do you think if somebody spends their life or dedicates their life to becoming a doctor, does so to help people?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. So where's the grand conspiracy, Danielle?
I believe it starts in the colleges. The indoctrination there is where and you can go to 10 different doctors and you're going to get 10 different opinions, you know.
Well, generally they
being around them.
If I break my arm, I could get 10 different opinions on my broken arm. They'll still say I broke my arm, right? It's all pretty well subsetted out, though. That doesn't mean that they're all invalid. So you said it's at the colleges. Okay, so you think that there are good people working in medicine, bad stuff in universities. Okay. So what do these universities have to gain, and what's the grand scheme? Do you think there's some deep cabal? How many people are in on it? Are there mole people or lizard people? Help me here. What do we got?
Well, no. See, this is where my faith, I guess, will come in for you. When you when I look at everything as a whole and step back and look at big picture, I look at God and I see, like your first caller was talking about sin, and he was talking about it being genetic and everything, and I was like, okay, dude, but that's not even what the Bible says. It talks about that we only know that we are sinners because the law came. And the universities, though, are preaching and teaching it. They don't teach God. They're teaching away from him. And so when you remove him...
Teaching away from him?
Yeah, like they don't... A lot of the professors claim to be... There's a majority of them that are atheists.
So what?
They're non-believers, or they don't. They ascribe to psychology, and I'm not judging. I'm just.
Whoa!
We've got a lot to unpack.
I'm not saying all. Didn't say all. I said there are majority.
No. The problem was you said psychology.
Are you against psychology?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at this point.
I need you in my life, Danielle. We can start a show together. Okay.
Let's do it.
So another big point, and that is that if you do need help, get help. There are professionals who dedicate their lives, just like doctors do. And I definitely think that being for psychology is very, very important. I also think that someone's religiosity does not necessarily have any bearing on whether or not they are qualified to teach. I would rather have a Muslim teacher teach me algebra who can do so than a Christian teacher who's not as good. I would rather have a Baha'i teach me science than somebody who is atheist who has no idea what they're talking about. When it comes to those specific things, it has nothing to do with their religiosity. It sounds like you're discounting people because of they're not Christian. Is that what's going on?
No, I'm not discounting people. I don't discount anyone, but I believe that everything should be done with God involved.
Why?
It should come from why? Because that's my belief. I believe from everything he's taught me and showed me. When I have a problem, I go to him and he shows me how to solve it.
Really? How do you know it's not? Yeah. How do you know it's not Allah? How do you know it's not Vishnu? How do you know it's not actually me being the God who's? I've been taking care of you. I've been sending you messages. No, I haven't been sending.
He's redeemed me. It's because he doesn't reveal himself as Allah to me. He doesn't reveal himself as...
You mentioned the word relationship.
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm always confused by this because I think you're using the word relationship in a way different than a lot of people. If I say that I have a relationship with Eric and someone says, can I show you Eric? Well, here he is. Can I talk to Eric? Can you talk to Eric? And you can. And so I have a way to confirm, to show people. I have a way of interacting with Eric that other people can observe. And so usually when someone tells me they have a relationship with God and or Jesus and or the Holy Spirit, depending on which doctrine you believe, whenever I ask for a way for you to show me that you actually have a relationship, people are not able to do that. Is there some way that you can show me evidence of an entity that you have a relationship with?
The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you is physical evidence. I mean,
I think we have a different understanding of the word evidence now. Because we had a previous caller that said they were Christian, and you disagreed with them. So your interpretation of some stuff in the Bible is different than their interpretation. And there's several thousand different forms of Christianity in the United States. How are they all getting it wrong, and you have the right answers?
Right. Well, I believe you use, when studying the Word of God or studying any, let's say, any historical document, if you believe Plato existed, it's only because you've read, Socrates existed, then it's because you've read Plato's historical documents, and it's because you've read Aristotle's writings.
And I think if we look at Socrates, I like this line of thought. If we're talking about Socrates, we maybe could have a discussion whether Socrates did or didn't exist. I don't have a relationship with him. So
Okay,
when I asked
I'm
you
getting to
for
that.
evidence of your relationship, you bring up Socrates. You completely dodged the question.
Can I let me finish my thought, please?
Okay,
I'm not trying to be rude, but
No, it's all good. We misunderstand each other and we
I just
fix
need
it.
to complete my thought. And so the evidence is that people's lives have been physically changed. I have physically had my life changed. You're talking to someone who was in an emotional despair, couldn't come above, couldn't have a relationship with anybody in my family, couldn't hold down a job.
Well, I have
Because I was sexually assaulted, and it wasn't psychology, it wasn't counseling that fixed it, it was Jesus.
I have no reason to doubt anything that you're saying that your life has changed. How do you know that God changed it, and how can you provide me evidence of that? Because all you did was make more claims. You claim you have a relationship. You claim that your life changed, and I accept that your life changed.
And we're glad your life changed. We're glad that you're able to have relationships.
How do you know
with
that
people.
God did it and not Satan did it?
Or you?
Not Satan, because I know his voice. I'm his child.
You know God's
Word.
voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
The word says that I would know his voice, and I do.
Sure. So you talk to
Faith.
God.
Faith is believing the things unseen. Sometimes you just have to believe the unseen.
That's a terrible way to believe things,
I think
Danielle.
so too. I mean, like the wind, though, I can't see the wind, but I can feel it.
Yeah, and you can also measure it. And
You can feel God's presence.
No, you can't, Danielle. So I've got to draw a line somewhere. And I think that where I'm
So
going
you're telling me I can't be baptized in the Holy Spirit because I speak in other tongues, and it's not my tongues. It's not made up.
Can you do it now?
Speaking in. Sure. I mean, I don't do it for show. It's for worship. But
That's fine. You're talking to two atheists.
if I'm praying, it's a prayer language. I'd have to pray, and
Okay. Well, so
go into it because it's part of my prayer language. I mean,
Sure.
No worries. As delightful as that is, I think I have one other question, and that is, you said you were in the Navy, right?
yeah.
Okay. You know how to read maps and where did you go? Where did you travel? Did you do a lot of traveling, Danielle?
Yeah, but I guess I should qualify. I was never on a ship, but I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and I was in Maryland, Indian Head, Maryland, with a chemical, biological incident response force. So I traveled to Canada, I've been to Indiana, I've been all over the United States training.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you ever fly in a
lived
plane?
in Okinawa. I've been to Africa, I've been to Honduras, those on mission
Ooh,
trips.
That's
So
awesome.
I've traveled quite a bit.
You had to fly there, right?
Yes, I flew to Bo.
Okay. So where's the wall? At what
The
point
wall is below the 60-degree line.
No, I mean
60 degrees south?
Yeah.
Do you think South America exists?
Longitude and latitude, so I'm sorry about that.
Danielle, do you think that South America exists?
Yes.
Do you think that Australia exists?
Yes.
Does Antarctica exist?
Yes, but it's the ice wall that circles our Earth.
And you think that ice wall is at minus 60 degree latitude south or something like that?
It's below that, actually. You can't go below the 60-degree. I can't think. I'm trying to think if it's longitude or latitude. The Antarctica Treaty.
Latitude is, I always think of it as a ladder. And those are the ones that are horizontal. So you're saying if you start from somewhere in the United States and go south to the equator, and then you keep going somewhere farther south than 60 degrees south latitude, you think there is an ice wall that prevents us from going any further.
And she said something about a treaty. What's the treaty?
The Antarctica Treaty.
What's the Antarctica Treaty?
It was signed in the 1959, if I'm not mistaken, by 12 countries to start out. It was United States, Korea, Germany, and a few others. And they signed the treaty
Right in the
that
middle
no
of
one
World
would
War
go there
II,
and use
actually.
Antarctica for. They could never claim it. No one could claim it, basically.
And you bring this up, I'm assuming, because you think this is evidence that all the governments of the world know there's a wall and they want to prevent you from going there?
Correct.
Are there White Walkers on the other side?
They had a Russian explorer be met with deadly force.
Sure. So when you get to the wall, how high is it?
According to Admiral Byrd from 1950s, 200 feet, Operation High Jump.
Okay.
What's on the other side?
Yeah, thank you.
I want to
so
know.
if you had a 200-foot ladder and you climbed up the ladder and you got to the top of the wall, what's on the other side?
Well, you'd hit the dome.
You hit the dome. So the dome, what was that, Truman Show?
Yeah.
So the dome,
Basically.
the dome rises up from the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like the Truman Show. Danielle, so we have other calls that we need to take. This has been delightful. I'm going to pop you back on hold because I want to get some more of your information. But if I don't see you for the rest of the day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I see what you did there. Yeah, that was. I was getting at the point where I wasn't sure that we weren't being trolled, but
You know, honestly, I've met people like that.
no, and I know it's possible. I mean, I've actually met people in person that are flat earthers, and there's a whole Bible, a whole script. There's a whole package of information that they're presented, and one of the things that I think maybe Danielle is a victim of, assuming that she's speaking truthfully, and I think that's where I'm going to start, that she is seeking out information that reinforces the idea.
Absolutely.
Because if the Earth is flat, then the whole moon, the sun, satellites, I mean, you've got to start creating an alternate world explanation for everything that we have.
But Phil, that's the part that I love.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated by it. Just like I'm fascinated to talk to people that are religious because in my head, it's so trivially easy to show that it's not real that when I talk to people who are sincere believers, and I don't doubt that they're sincere believers, I am fascinated by the fact that they are believers.
Well, it's the same reason why I love the Star Wars universe or the Harry Potter universe.
Star Trek.
No, Star Wars. Star Trek is fine. I've been getting exposed to more Star Trek, and it's been, but I'm still a bigger Star Wars fan at the moment. Sorry, I'm making icon. Anyway,
You can't beat the Borg. That's just
space
genius.
Wizards. Phil.
Maybe no. You know what? I know how you can beat the Borg. Weeping angels.
Space Wizards. Okay. No, we'll talk. Anyway, I want to live in that universe. I want to know. I want to explore. I want to see what else is there. How does the grand conspiracy work?
Yeah,
and if George Soros is paying us all off, how come I haven't gotten my goddamn check?
What's this we stuff?
Yeah, we're talking after the show. All right. In the meantime, who would you like to talk to?
I'm numb, so pick who. Maybe we go back to a conventional Christianity where I feel almost comfortable after that.
Okay. Well, somebody's got a bone to pick with me. Jonathan in Arizona.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
Someone's got a bone to pick with me.
Yeah. Start picking.
Right. Yeah.
Start picking.
That's all right. What's up, man? What do you want to talk about?
Hey. Well, first, it's great to talk to both of you again. So, yeah, what I initially called in with was what I thought was going to be a pretty quick discussion. But at this point, having heard the last two calls, as a Christian, I feel compelled to kind of tip the scales back on the side of rationality because it's embarrassing to hear what I just heard from these people. I'm not to impugn their sincerity.
No. It's a very common thing for Christians to contact us all the time and say, those aren't good examples of Christianity. And so the thing is that almost any Christian you talk to, once you start really getting into the nitty-gritty, everyone has a religion of one. But what's yours? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Right. And I understand that, and that's absolutely true. Basically, my responses to the conversations that you guys had with the previous two callers would have nothing to do with religion or the fact that I'm a Christian. The several topics of, vaccines causing autism, the earth is flat, we didn't go to the moon, the ice wall, and plus, Phil, you were cracking me up, dude, with the White Walkers thing. That was hilarious.
That was actually Eric's comment, but that's where I was going to.
Is it? Did I steal that from you? I'm sorry.
You channeled that. And
you know what? I've been working on the hair.
We're
working on the Jon Snow thing.
symbiotic, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, no, that was hysterical.
Yeah, if she said there was a white tree on the other side of the wall, I was going to lose it.
Well,
honestly, I talked to Matt a couple of weeks ago on the Atheist Experience, and we had what I consider was a pretty pleasant conversation. And at the end of it, because a previous caller he just got off the phone with said, like, science isn't real, at the end of our conversation, he asked me the question, is science real?
I heard that.
And after understanding what he meant, like, I answered his questions. And one of the questions was do vaccines cause autism? I have a 3-year-old son who is autistic, and he's vaccinated. I see nothing that correlates the two. And that was something else that I was so sad that it didn't come up when she said, oh, well, ever since vaccines, children were becoming more autistic. Well, guess what? Children were also not dying of freaking typhoid and measles. And
well,
measles,
and that was
the numbers on that.
That's where I tried to go with that even if autism was caused by vaccinations, I'd rather have an autistic child than a dead one. So,
and as soon as you said that, I said, fucking right, because I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it, Jonathan.
And for those of you who do want to do some research on it, take a look at how we have tested and how we have over time expanded our knowledge of and our understanding of autism and how that is a spectrum. And
I was just going to say, Jonathan, you're aware of the spectrum. And different kids are diagnosed with autism, but can have very, very different life experiences. Is that true as a parent of an autistic child?
That's absolutely true. Not only that, but several of the traits that are commonly associated with autism are also associated with other things like ADD, ADHD. They're not specific. They don't define your children.
No, absolutely, which is why the term neurodivergent is having a much more impactful place in the way we discuss things, is because we're just finding that, we are just so different from each other that when you create this idea of, well, what is normal? Is that something we should all ascribe to? It's like asking somebody, who might have one leg, how well they're going to do in a marathon race. It's not fair. We do the best we can with what we have. And we set our goals and we set our sights on those things that are achievable so we can live.
And can't we just all love each other? I mean, just...
Right. And like you said, there's different like levels of autism. There's autism that is extreme, where children are beating their heads against the wall because they don't know how to, like express emotion.
Right.
And those are actually children that I've worked with.
Case,
I've actually worked with kids who are nonverbal, who can't potty themselves or feed themselves, that kind of thing.
Right. And my son is referred to as high functioning, extremely high functioning, as a matter of fact. He just turned 3 at the beginning of this month, and he actually knows how to read. He knows how to write. He knows how to do addition. He knows all of the colors in English and Spanish. He can tell you geometric shapes like the difference between a rhombus or a semicircle or a pentagon. He knows these.
That's cool.
He's ahead of the game. So, I mean, being autistic is not something to fear. It doesn't do anything to diminish your child.
Agreed. And it sounds like you have a lot to be proud of as a father, Jonathan.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him for sure. He's the one who's always wanted to put in the effort, and we just cater to it until he doesn't want to.
Well, I was going to say that is a sign of quality parenting. So bravo.
Cheers to that. Now,
thanks.
You got a bone to pick with me. What's up?
Oh, yeah, we almost got off that.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah. Sorry about the rant.
No, it's all good. We're just people trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, what I was like, I guess the bone is, a lot of the phone calls that you had in the past, Eric. This is to you specifically because I'm quoting you. You said several times that the Bible was written by a bunch of Bronze Age goat herders, and it cracks me up how you say it. But you do acknowledge that is an ad hominem like attack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay.
I mean,
know that, 'cause
we don't know many of the authors, and some authors that we have been able to track, as far as the New Testament is concerned, we don't have any reason to believe that they were all Bronze Age goat herders.
Yeah, 'cause most of them were sheep herders.
I do.
See, that's why I called. I needed that clarification.
Right.
Thank you.
I do stand behind the Bronze Age part, but that's just historical.
Well, that's just time.
Yeah. But ultimately, the reason that I bring it up is because I want to inspire people to look into it. And if it did inspire you to look into it, then I hope that it could have inspired you to look into the authenticity, the historicity, and why we should believe authors that I'm sure you know, we don't know many of the authors in the Bible, especially the Old Testament.
Sure, and absolutely, sure, of course. But I'm willing to bet that you would agree that ad hominem is probably not the most productive way to get people interested in looking into it.
Actually, no.
I mean, you wouldn't.
So the
Really?
fun,
You really think that by like insulting someone, it like impugns their credibility of what they said?
Well, so the thing is, I think it takes all types. I think that some ideas should be made fun of. You know,
Well, I agree with that. Sure.
Yeah,
but you're not talking about the idea. You're talking about in the context that because it was goat herders that wrote, the Bible or parts of the Bible.
You could have really smart goat herders.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think.
The connotation it gives off is that they're stupid. You have no reason to believe anything they said, which is why it's the fallacy.
So actually, the thing that runs through my head when I say it is superstition. And I think that I could probably rework the way I say that when I say that is you have people from the Bronze Age who were prone to superstition, who saw things in the sky that they didn't understand and so wanted to make up explanations, reasons, and stories to better understand the world around them because they didn't have the tools to investigate it at the time. Now,
the tools part, is that really different from today?
Yeah, I was wondering myself.
It's probably more now because there's more people to be ignorant and be superstitious.
But we do have universities. You have to agree. We have a whole lot more tools than we did.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
how many of these people are actually? How many of them care enough to actually put in that effort?
Well, there are people who think that universities are a negative thing, a la our previous caller.
Yeah. Now,
and that's what I was about to say, too, that it was a ridiculous thing for her to say the majority of university professors are such and such because she can't know that.
Yeah. And
I can't be a student of the majority of universities and be a student of the majority of these professors. It's another way of just saying, I believe this and I don't have a good reason, and you're pretty much not going to convince me I'm wrong.
And
you're right.
I mean, I think anybody who has sufficient experience in a university can tell you, I have met plenty of professors who are so deeply diametrically opposed at every level that to say that you could make a general, statement about them together would be deeply offensive to both of them.
Right. And to make a comparison, I mean, basically what she did to those professors is the same ad hominem fallacy that you did to the goat herders.
Well, so again, going back to it, I do have some information that you don't. I have access to the email that comes in to tv@atheist-community.org and mail@talkheathen.com. And I've actually had lots of people reach out and say, hey, you know what? You said something that pissed me off and I wanted to prove you wrong. And so when I investigated, it turns out I was holding on to beliefs and I didn't have good reasons to. So do I think that every interaction should be vitriolic? Heck no. No, I think that perpetuates a stereotype of the angry atheist. That said, yeah, there's a place for it. And I think I'm still trying to find my mix. I'm still trying to find where I fit into that. And I think just trying to be honest along the way is where I'm going to wind up.
Perfect. Yeah, of course.
That said, yeah, Bronze Age goat herders just sounds better, doesn't it?
It does have a certain ring to it.
That said, do you want to talk about what you believe and why you believe it?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw in my little final note there that said that these Bronze Age goat herders, whether what they wrote is true or not, here we are, thousands of years later, still trying to figure that out.
The thing is I think so long as we're working on the tools, as long as we're sharpening them and making sure that we demand good evidence and are able to investigate for good reasons and believe things for good reasons, I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there. But what's your good reason? Why do you believe? What do you believe?
Regarding like Christian, well, because I'm a Christian, which doesn't tell you really anything. But I believe in the resurrection. I believe the historical record for the resurrection. The New Testament, like a lot of the claims in the New Testament, are pretty well attested outside with the extra biblical sources.
Really?
And ultimately, that led me to the belief in the resurrection. That's how I became a Christian. and this is 8 years ago. And to this day, I still study religion and also like apologetics, counter apologetics. I read sources from both sides, and everything that I've learned, I'm still more convinced that what I believe has been like more well supported and not so much challenged in a way that I've become skeptical.
Okay. So there are a couple places that we can go, but the first, and I think one of the ones that sticks out to me the most there, Jonathan, is you said extra biblical evidence for claims made within the Bible. And if you watch the show, you'll probably know that I've got a couple go-to examples. But
well, you and I actually had that conversation.
Oh, we did? Okay. So what extra biblical evidence is backed up that shows you that miracles happen?
Not so much. It doesn't lead to that miracles happen. That's kind of
or that they
going
can happen,
from
maybe.
something. Well, okay. So I'm going to try to sum up the best way that I can.
Okay.
That the non-Christian sources that wrote about Jesus, which outweigh the sources that any sources that wrote about Caesar, at least give me a good understanding that it's more likely true that Jesus existed, which doesn't tell me anything about divinity, but at least he existed. And then Bart Ehrman's book, Did Jesus Exist? Further strengthened that belief that Jesus existed because of how he explains the historical method and how they
I really can't speak.
And stuff.
I really can't speak to Bart Ehrman, but I can speak to me, and Phil can speak to himself.
Well, one of the things I would like to ask is that, let's go for a minute and say there was a guy named Jesus that existed.
Yeshua.
I'm normally not even going to go there, but let's just play. You made the comparison to Caesar. I don't worship Caesar. So the fact that there's more evidence, which I'm not sure I agree with, but again, we're just playing. How do you know that Jesus is divine? And, here's what I'll do. I'll go to this. Do you think that Jesus sacrificed himself for you?
Yes, I believe that. I believe that he was the sacrificial atonement to...
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So if he sacrificed something, what was it that he sacrificed?
That's actually a good question. I'm a smoker, by the way. That's a good question.
I'm hoping for a good answer. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, by sacrifice, it's a difficult it's difficult for me to even understand. But the way that I understand it is that his sacrifice, living a sinless life, and then the resurrection, he defeated death and sin because he is the representative of the moral perfection that is God.
Does Jesus exist?
Can't meet that criteria.
Does Jesus exist now?
I believe that Jesus has always existed.
Okay,
and will always exist.
So if he existed before the sacrifice and he exists after the sacrifice, what did he give up? What was that he sacrificed?
Yeah, maybe. See, that's why I was trying to figure out how to answer with the word sacrifice. Maybe it's not so much sacrifice; it's just that what he did, it defeated sin and death. Like it gave us.
So you said it defeated sin and death. So people no longer sin
or die.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. Going to go next.
Yeah.
Well, the punishment of sin is death, and then evil has to be punished, right?
Well, I guess so, but my question is, what it was different before and after his death, alleged death, because he's still alive. But what changed?
It doesn't sound like it was defeated.
Yeah, I mean, we still die, right? I mean, unless I missed that memo.
Give me one question at a time.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll try to rephrase it. Whatever the rules were for...
What did it accomplish?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Thank you. What was accomplished? What changed from before death to after death? Other than the calendar system.
Salvation, the possibility of salvation.
So everyone that existed before Jesus died couldn't get salvation?
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. And this is the part where I have to say I don't know enough about it.
And I love that answer, but you gave an answer that said salvation. So now you're saying you don't know if that's true.
No, I don't know if it was necessary or not before Christ lived.
Okay, so then I'm going to take that off the table by your own admission. What changed?
What changed after the resurrection?
Well, what's different before? What changed before the resurrection and after the resurrection? What's the difference? You said salvation, and then you said that you don't know that it was necessarily different. Okay, so we took that off. So give me something else.
Well, if it was the case that the resurrection was necessary for salvation, then that would have to be something that changed. The fact that occurred and now is available.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to where we were because maybe I misunderstood. If the resurrection was necessary for salvation, are you saying that everyone that lived before Jesus' resurrection did not have a chance at salvation? Are you making that claim?
Well, only from a logical standpoint, because we're using the hypothetical if. So if the resurrection was necessary, then absolutely it would mean that they didn't have a chance at salvation. But I'm not saying that that's the case because I don't know it.
Okay, so would they all be burning in hell, or did they all get a free pass?
Again, hypothetical. I can't answer that either.
Because if they're burning in hell, that got to be pretty evil. But if you gave them a free pass, then I think that would be even worse.
Because then the whole resurrection is not needed.
Well, not only is it not needed, but now there's a failure condition.
Right. And again, I can only speculate on this too. But the Bible says that those who don't hear the gospel, they'll be judged according to their hearts. Now, maybe that's part of an answer of what happened before.
I like this because you just went the direction I kind of was hoping you were going to go with before. If someone doesn't know the gospel, they're judged on their hearts. Is that fair resummary of what you said?
It's fair of what I believe the Bible says.
Okay, I'll go with what you believe the Bible says. If that's the case, would it then not be better to not teach anyone about Christianity so that they could be judged on their hearts instead of some other rules that are in the book?
That could definitely be on a case by case. I mean, essentially you could say, if I choose not to teach my children that murder is wrong.
No, I'm not saying murder. I'm saying Christianity. So without the knowledge of the Bible and Christianity, they're not judged on the rules and conditions of the Bible and Christianity. They're judged on their hearts. Again, if I'm understanding what you said. And so you are making what potentially could be interpreted as a very, very wonderfully powerful, strong argument that Christians should be anti-evangelical, that they should make it.
And that's true. That's true. But you could also make the exact same case that evangelizing might cause more people to want to turn to Christ and get that salvation. Now, both cases.
Well, how's the salvation necessary? You just said that they're judged on their hearts.
Because if you know that you have an opportunity for being redeemed or saved, stuff like that, it might make you more inclined to seek it and want it rather than just...
Okay, so what are the rules of redemption then? How does one become redeemed in a way other than what's in their heart? Because that's apparently what changed. So what are the rules?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't know.
And I love I don't know as an answer. You're doing great, and I love honest, straightforward answers. But I keep coming back to the situation, and I think it's because maybe you haven't really formalized this, or the problem is you're thinking about it too much, is that there's no difference between before and after Jesus. There's no difference between before and after being Christian. And if that continues to be your answer, why? Why do all this stuff? Why create all these rules that aren't necessary? And I love that you're not sure. And that's awesome. But if you're not sure, you're apparently sure enough to call and want to talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, what specific question did you want to go?
I don't know that I had one. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My mistake.
I think he was summarizing a bit on where he was.
Like conversations just about anything, so I have to go like one step at a time.
Yeah. I love that form of discussion, and we try that. So many callers don't have the abilities you have to focus on one topic.
It frustrates me as much as it frustrates you because I watch you guys' shows every single week.
Hey, well, glad you do, man, and I'm glad that. So what I love is that you saw that I did something and you called me out on it. I'm happy to be called out. You're right. There was an ad hom that I used. And does slinging around ad homs, is that a good reason to make people believe one thing or another? No, it's not. It felt good though, but no, it's not good reason in and of itself.
Right.
This conversation I could listen to for days. It's kind of amazing that just it sounds like there's really. Jonathan, I'm going to create an anti-paladin in my next campaign called Jonathan, and his entire job is going to be to make people not believe in his deity. It sounds amazing.
That seems counterproductive to me.
No, but listen back to this video.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I think I love the honest answers. I love the thoughtful answers. And if we had more callers that responded in the way that you did, or think and are making the effort in the real world to understand how things work, I would probably have to find a different hobby than being on a show like this, because we'd all be in a better place. So kudos to you for making those efforts and giving straightforward, truthful answers. I'm honored to have this chat with you.
Definitely.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
All right, you guys too.
That was fun.
Right?
That was calm. It wasn't. I mean, he's got some thoughts that maybe they're a little fuzzy on the edges when you really push the details, and I have that. I'm guilty of that all the time. If someone really sits down and says, Phil, do you think this? Do you think this? Do you think this? And then you go, oh, crap, a couple of my things are in inherent conflict with each other.
And I think that just some of those presuppositions, I love the way that you challenged a couple of those. That was just very much, okay, you came into this with this, but if that is the case, then what was that? I'm stealing that.
Steal it all. Steal it all. And it's so funny because from your show and from the other shows on this network, I have learned so much about how to talk to people and honestly how to think myself better, because there is a regular frequency, unfortunately, where I am corrected and people can inform me that I did something either fallacious in my thinking or I believed something that wasn't true. And I know it's a foundation to this network, this ACA thing. Believe more true things and less false things. Yeah. And Jonathan was doing something I am so delighted to hear that so many people don't do, where they just go, this is what I believe, and I'm absolutely sincere and positive and dogmatic about it. I've never really thought about it.
I don't know. I'll check it out.
Think about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Think about it.
Actually, I think it's a good time to say, with what we do, with the programs that we do, there is a way to support us. I'm going to shill.
Ooh, nice.
Right? You can become a patron if you'd like. You can go to patreon.com/talkheathen to me, and you could be one of our top 5 patrons, like Paul, Charlotte, Eric, Desert Heathen, and Bethany P. Eric is new and joined in the last couple minutes. Nice. Welcome. So I actually got a message also from someone on Twitter who has said, hey, you know what, I'm a lower, level patron. I'd love to have my name read out. But the thing is, I'd love to read everybody's names. I don't know who doesn't want their name read, because I've had people also.
I don't. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm outing Phil Ferguson. But thank you so much. And if you're watching, if you're listening, that period helps. Hit that thumbs up button. What do we got here? We've got 2,300 people watching and 282 upvotes and 5 downvotes. However you're going to vote. Help. Just get it out there. Share it with your friends.
And of course, this is not just YouTube. People can listen to it audio as a podcast.
Actually, our audio engineer, Vern, and when it's not Vern, it's Silas, they stay late.
Yes,
they do work. And believe it or not, they actually treat this audio and take out
That's
any
why we sound
background hiss
so
and all of that
darn sexy.
on the podcast. It is different than
There's
on
the crew,
here.
right?
Hey,
You can see
everybody.
it on the
Yes,
video.
there they are. You see on the upper right-hand corner, that's Vern. Vern actually stays like way, way late processing that podcast, so it sounds buttery smooth.
Well, because of course, thumbs up on YouTube, but if you're listening audio through podcast, I know that Apple Podcast and Stitcher have places where you can leave 5-star reviews.
Yes.
And it
And Google.
really does it?
I think so.
Well, anywhere you can find reviews, give a 5-star review if you like the show. It creates a situation where sometimes people are looking for new content to listen to. And if they come across this show and they see hundreds or thousands of 5-star reviews, they're much more likely to add this show and listen to it. So you can actually do a little teeny something to help humanity and help more people listen to this show by giving those 5-star reviews. It really does matter.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost a thing.
Not much anyway.
You are helping me shill.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
I'm the shill with the best of them.
Hey, Phil Ferguson show. Check him out. All right. Let's move on. What do you think? 2 or 5?
Either one, but before we get to those, I do want to mention that I do think flat earthers exist, but you pick 2 or 5.
Caleb in Vancouver.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Better than I deserve.
I like it.
Great talking to you both.
Hey, good talking to you. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I have found 2 miracles that I've come up with proof. They're located on my website. My website address is
Nope.
BA.
Nope.
Like,
No. Come on.
Well, why don't you pick one and tell us about it?
Well, yeah, so you can talk to us about
Okay.
proofs, and what we will do is if this conversation goes well, then we'll let you shill your own website. If not, then no.
okay.
But this is definitely not a platform that you can steal and jump on and do that.
oh, okay. I didn't know that. Sorry about
it's all
that.
good.
It's okay. He said a Canadian sorry. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's up, bud?
Yeah. Okay, so are you guys familiar with the movie Jesus Christ Superstar?
I know it exists.
I don't think I actually
I've never seen it.
have any either.
Was Jesus in
I've
it?
never seen it either.
Okay, why are we
Never
talking
seen
about it?
either. Well, I went on iTunes and I downloaded the one of the songs from the show, and it's been performed by 6 different artists over the years. And in each one of those songs, I can actually hear my name sung in the lyrics.
Caleb, you emailed us.
Is this
Yeah.
your miracle?
Yeah, have you guys looked at it yet?
I have.
I haven't, and I'm not gonna. That's a pretty low bar, dude, for a miracle.
I know it's
So
I
mean,
think there must be a
but I-
song that mentions Phil somewhere, so I'm miraculous.
well, so here's the thing.
well,
is-
it's because it's the same song and it's the Jesus Christ song, so that's what sort of threw me off a little bit.
Well, so here's the thing. There's a long and terrifying tradition of people trying to find hidden messages in media. You have assassination attempts because of Catcher in the Rye. You have people who have tried to commit murder because of songs by the Beatles. And you have so long as we've been putting out media, people have been looking for things. In fact, when I was growing up, the Satanic Panic was very much still a thing in my
I missed
church.
it all.
You missed it all? You lucky bastard.
My family was Methodist, which is really a kind of Christianity where we all get along and everybody's going to be okay and just do the right thing.
Yeah.
And you kind of get to heaven with everybody else. It was really,
Damn.
it's really chill. And matter of fact, if everyone was like Methodist and Anglican,
You'd probably find a different hobby.
life would be so much easier.
Caleb, do you remember the Satanic Panic?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Could you tell me just a little bit about the Satanic Panic? Because I get tired of explaining it.
Well, it was sort of a period of time where, like, backmasking in music and stuff like that, people were concerned that, Satan was everywhere and stuff like that.
You know that
That's about all I remember. I couldn't listen to certain music. I couldn't watch certain TV programs.
same here. Yeah,
That's rough. That's rough childhood, man.
Well,
Could you watch Love Boat at least?
The thing is you were told that Love Boat's before my time. I'm sorry to do that to you, bro.
That's good.
But I was told that I would be hypnotized, that I would, subconsciously hear these backwards lyrics in music that would subconsciously, affect me and make me vulnerable to evil and Satan and things like that. And so what you have, though, is you have this example. And by the way, I think it goes without saying, Caleb, that actually, no, it should be said. There are people who went to jail for accusations of satanic worship that, good people who went to prison for a long time for no reason. It was really bad. But the only reason I bring this up is because we as humans have a propensity to see patterns. We see patterns everywhere. Everywhere we look, we see them. And there are tons and tons of people who have messaged us and tons of people who have taken terrible action because they thought that they saw personal patterns that were geared toward them. So Caleb, how have you determined that this pattern that you see is real and that it's not, just you trying to find something? I mean, how can we tell what's authentic and what's not authentic as far as that's concerned?
Well, that's why I wanted another set of eyes like yours to have a look at it just to see if, you thought the same thing or if you can tell me that I'm going crazy.
You're not going crazy.
That sort of thing.
So I think I misunderstood. So let me ask to make sure. You're saying that your family, I'm assuming your last name, which we're not going to talk about, your last name is in this song, but not as part of the lyrics?
The names of his family members.
Like if you went and Googled the lyrics, you wouldn't see my name in it. But if you listen to it, you can actually hear my name sung in it.
Okay, is it the name Caleb or some other name?
No, my full name. My full real name.
As not part of the lyrics, but when listening to the song, you hear your name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
awesome.
what I've done is
what I want you to
time-stamped it all.
Yep. You can search in YouTube, audio pareidolia. And you can.
I'm familiar with what pareidolia is.
Yeah, and you can find songs that are sung in completely different languages. And if you get a good one, someone will put on the subtitles, they'll put what the words sound like in English, even though the song was sung in a different language. And some of them are just absolutely stupefyingly hysterical because we want to find that pattern. And you probably know your name better than most people on the planet. And so if something that kind of sort of sounds like your name, it'll pop out at you and you'll hear it. Just like looking at a wall and seeing a face, or sometimes looking at a car. If the car is designed in a certain way, it looks like a face. Our brains also do that with sounds, where we want to find things that make sense. And so you're pulling your name out as what's called an audio pareidolia. And I think that's really cool. But check out those YouTube videos. I think you'll have a hoot with those.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well.
Caleb, you're not going crazy. You're human, and it is a human thing. What I checked out wasn't remarkable. But if other people want to check out this kind of phenomena, one of my favorites is there's a God of War soundtrack song, and it has this, very deep, and it sounds like they're saying "Hold Devil's Pot of Tea, Mulan," and it's the funniest freaking video. And really, honestly, there's so many things that you can just kind of think you're hearing something, especially if you're primed for it. So I think you did an amazing job.
Yeah, like there's another audio pareidolia that I know of, is that sometimes if you have a fan on, you hear just that fan. But if you turn two fans on, it sounds like voices. And some people are much more likely to hear this, and depending on the medications that they take or just who they are, it is a well-known, amazing phenomenon. But if you don't know about it and you turn on two fans, and it creates an alternating form of patterns. It's not just the sound of one fan, but the two fans cross over each other. It can actually make it sound like you're hearing a voice in your head, and it can be very disturbing. So the mind is an amazing thing, and it wants to find language. It wants to find faces, and I think that's what we're talking about, and it's awesome, and I thank you for bringing it up for us.
Definitely. And Caleb,
Okay.
I totally did see your email, and I was like, V, you got to look at this, V, check it out. And it was fun. You're good. You're not going crazy. You're just
Okay.
another person. You're good. Alrighty, man. But
Thanks.
glad you called in.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
You bet.
Take care.
I think that was wonderful. The only thing that I worry about is it started with, this is a miracle, and I have proof. That's not what I consider to be a miracle.
No. And, the thing is I think he saw that by the end.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, if we can have a shared learning experience, that makes sitting with you for an hour and a half worth it.
Oh, what? So this isn't you're breaking my heart, Phil. You're breaking my... And they're clapping you. Fine. Jesse in New Jersey. You're talking to Eric and Phil. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Just wanted to let you know, Eric, that I would be more than happy to hang out with you for an hour and a half for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, Phil. Breaking my heart. I was all excited to talk to you.
Well, Jesse, we're reading the notes here about your family, and they're trying to push religion on you. Can you tell us about that?
You see that? Phil's changing the subject.
Yeah, I am.
So,
Thank you.
So I grew up in a Jewish family, and Jews have a very specific belief that religion is somehow passed on from your parents. That if your mother's a Jew, but no matter what you believe, you're a Jew. And I've tried explaining the difference between religion and ethnicity multiple times. And really, I'm just looking for advice on how to try and communicate.
It's interesting. I've actually watched full-blown debates between two people that are Jewish arguing whether Judaism is a culture or a people in addition to a religion. And
Yep, that's that's dinner table conversation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I see a successful outcome for that because if they're convinced because of the norms and societal patterns and the fact that there are lots of Jewish or non-Jewish people who think Judaism is a race in a negative way, that's going to be a hard thing to convince somebody that has a different opinion than you. If your family is open to it and you guys love having that conversation, that's cool. I've been with families that do that. But based on your note and your introduction comments, I'm getting the impression they're not loving it. And if that's the case, I guess I'd want to know what's in it for you. What do you get if you eventually win the argument?
Hopefully they stop asking me to participate in Bronze Age rituals.
Yeah. Now that's a different thing, and I'm with you there. Are you dependent on your family at this point? Do they provide your housing and food and income and a place to live and paying your bills, or university or something?
Yes, right now.
Yeah. I'm a big believer of getting along to get sometimes what you need. If they're paying for college, you don't have to hide, you don't have to lie and not be yourself. But it's so important that you get that education, that you can fend for yourself and take care of yourself. And I also know as a parent, sometimes parents can discount the opinions of their kids inappropriately, simply because you're much younger and you can't possibly know as much as the parent. And so you've got all that stuff going against you. But how you win the argument, I really kind of at a loss for advice. I guess the thing I would ask is, what's the benefit of having the argument? Eric, you got anything different? I
do. I just want to add more in. And that is, number one, Jesse, Whatever they think, however they want to go about it, you can't change. You can't reach into their head as much as as much as any of us want to. You can't do that. Now, who you are, you've probably, if you've watched the show, have seen us say that we're not in the business of telling Christians that they're Christian or not. If somebody calls in and says they're a Christian, we're going to say, okay. If you
that's something I agree with.
Yeah, if you can you become can you follow Judaism, after you were born? Yes, there are plenty of people who convert to Judaism. There's a difference, there, and that's something that I'm sure that you know. There are also a lot of things that are culturally your heritage. In the same way that I celebrate Christmas, because I freaking love Christmas. That doesn't mean that I need to, put a manger out in front of my house. It means that I like giving presents, and I love to surround myself with the people I care about and tell them that I love them, and I'll take any excuse to do that. That doesn't mean that I'm tacitly a Christian. It just means that I have this heritage and I'm going to celebrate it. That doesn't mean that I, subscribe to the idea of a man in the sky. And if that's something that they're having trouble separating, there just may be a chance that they're not going to be able to get there, but that does not invalidate at all who you are. Jesse, your heritage and who you are cannot be robbed from you. And that is important to know, because it is your identity. What you inherited, what you get. So maybe it's not, some kinds of rituals, but there are other things that we use, that we tell ourselves, these stories that create our identities. And it is important for you to know that can't be taken from you by somebody. It can't be taken from you by your parents because they disagree. Because they can't tell the difference. That doesn't mean that the truth of the matter is there are cultures, and then there are, heritages, and you can track your heritage, but really in the end, I think personally that it's that culture that matters more. And it sounds like you're having a hard time there, and it pisses me off. I wish I could be there. I wish I could be at your house. I wish I could tell them, why would you rob them of this? But I can't. The only thing I can do is tell you you're getting big hugs from Austin, man, and I hope things work out.
Oh, thanks. Hopefully one day I'll be able to. Hopefully one day I'll be able to come by and see the Free Thought Library. It's something I've wanted to see for years.
We'd love that.
Absolutely, and we will have an unkosher meal. Take care, brother.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. We will take all of our callers, but first we're going to take Eli in Oregon.
Yes. Hello there.
How you
Hi,
doing?
Eli. What would you like to talk about?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What would you like to talk about?
Yes, I would like to talk about heaven.
Okay.
It's not a safe place to be.
It's not safe?
Exactly.
Okay. And you're marked as a theist. Does that mean you're also a Christian theist?
No, not a theist. Well, it is theist, but not a Christian theist. I just not believe in in the biblical God or.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of gods, so I don't know if I don't believe in the rest of them.
Okay, sure. And so which heaven are you describing then?
Biblical heaven.
Okay, so kind of a Christian-y biblical heaven kind of thing?
Yes, correct.
All right. And
based on that ideology.
Yeah. And so tell us, if you go to heaven, what's it look like? What's it smell like? Is it fluffy clouds? Is it something different? What do you got in mind?
Well, I describe heaven according to the Bible, where God is, where a perfect place, where there's no evil, there's no whatever negative, nothing like that goes in there. A perfect place, whatever that means.
Okay.
And that right there.
So this describe perfect place. You're saying it's not safe. What makes it not safe then?
Not safe in the way that, for example, I don't know, whatever place in earth, let's say it's safe, it's perfect in the way that you won't get hurt. No, I mean, nobody's going to come and attack you and hurt your family, hurt you at any way, like that.
Okay. Cool. Eric, you got any thoughts?
Well, no, mostly because I snuck off to the restroom while
I was trying to
camera
cover
zoomed
for
in on you.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't hear the sink run either. I'm just saying.
I fell. I washed my hands, damn it.
So Eli, what do we do here? Do we close heaven? Do you just sin a little bit so you don't go there? What's the solution?
Okay, look, well, I would like to explain why I believe is not safe.
Yeah.
May I?
Yes. I'm eager for that.
According to theologians, biblical theologians, the once upon a time, God was there with all these angels, including the devil, and some way somehow, this perfect place, it wasn't perfect no more.
That's a good point.
The devil started a revolution, and he got kicked out from there, and then God, creates, following the story or what they believe. God, the biblical God create, this earth and put, Adam and Eve in here, and the perfect world.
Can I ask you a couple, Eli? Can I ask you a couple questions? Because I'd love to catch up. Number one, do you believe that heaven is a place?
No, I do not.
Okay. Are you a Christian?
Used to be a Christian, but thanks to you guys,
wow,
not anymore.
Sincerely appreciate it. The thing is when we start speculating about the beliefs of other people that are not our own, we run the risk of sticking our heads up our own butts. And while it's fun, it can be a lot of fun. I worry that doing it too much will put us into an echo chamber. And so while I sincerely appreciate it, and I agree, I think that if we were to go to heaven,
I kind of think I don't want to go there.
Yeah, there's the either loss of free will, becoming an automaton, the idea of going crazy because there's no way that our psyches can deal with eternity. There's a number of things. How about being put in the presence of a creator who created every evil thing that ever happened? While those are all points to talk about, I think it's most effective when we talk to a believer about them.
Correct.
But
all right.
We sincerely appreciate you calling in.
Thank you so much, Eli.
Thank you for waiting for so long. Jeez.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking my call.
Absolutely. Take care.
All righty.
Right? Okay. Next. Oh, look at that. I hung up on Javier, and he wanted to talk about whether or not trans people exist. Oh, no. Javier, I'm so sad.
I would like to say that you should call back another time, but I'd be lying.
That said, I do. He waited the entire time, too.
I know.
Yeah, feminism being cancer and religion, and
that was an hour and 40-minute wait.
You know what?
And then accidentally hung up. We got a new call with a different name. I'm wondering if that's a name change.
I don't know. Fat fingers. I just. Anyway, I want to thank the people on the other side of this wall. Without them, this show would not happen. Y'all are fucking amazing. We couldn't do it without you, and like I said, they're going to be here long after we leave so that they can make sure that we sound buttery smooth.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be here because I'm going to be on that other show. What's that one called later today?
The Atheist Experience.
AXP,
the big,
yeah.
You're going to be on with a dear friend of mine too.
Yeah, Matt.
Jenna actually.
Jenna.
But yeah, Matt's out of town.
He went to New York, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. They let him out every once in a while.
Every once in a while, we'll let him out of the pen. No, Matt's also a wonderful dude. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing you up on there. I want to thank everybody in the live studio audience. I see some friendly faces that I can't wait to meet. Phil, dude.
Pleasure.
I have been a fan of yours for longer than I've ever been doing anything in front of a camera, and I will continue to be. You are the genuine article. You're a sweet dude on and off camera, and it is an honor to get to have you on the show.
Well, then I'm going to add nothing and just say good night.
Well, hold on. We've got more. We've got more. I know. I'm sorry. But we got to throw up the love rings. Do you remember this part?
I do not remember this part.
Watch this. Ready? So in the early days, there was a one effect that the studio had, and it was these throwing up these green circles, these love rings. And so we have the throwback, and we go like this, and we... Right?
That is nice.
That's pretty cool, right? So we got the love rings going out, and then we put out a message for non-believers, and we say, hey, this is your community. We're glad that you made it. You know, just like that last caller, Eli, you know, he wanted to talk about hell. Just because we stopped believing doesn't mean that we stopped being interested.
Yeah.
We want to talk about it. And going back, you know, looking at that woman who was the flat earther Christian conspiracy theorist 9/11.
She's a hot mess.
I just adore her.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's not just religious thinking. It's your epistemic grounding. It's how you're putting together that toolbox that you're using to understand the world around you. And it matters, and it especially matters because we're going to be voting soon. We got an election coming up, and I really hope that you can do the best you can to decipher what is true and what's not true.
And just like my other comment, I'd really like to tell you who to vote for, but I'm not allowed.
On this show. But
on this show. On my show. My show is a totally different thing. That's the Phil Ferguson show.
Absolutely. So all the love rings out from Austin. We hope that you can make it sometime. And whether or not you are here, you belong here. But to those of you who do believe, that's where we look and we say, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong.
You're just mistaken. That's all.
So to those of you who do believe, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
No, you're done.